Are you moving through a transitional period in your earthly plane where that is concerned, a transitional period within yourself where that is concerned, a transitional plays in your universe where that is concerned, because each and every one of you are now observing a transition where that is concerned, a transition of energy in your earthly plane where that is concerned, a transition of energy in the universal plane where that is concerned, because each and every one of you are now immersed and immersed in the transition where that is concerned. And many are feeling a bit out of sorts in your vernacular where that is concerned in relationship to the transition where that is concerned, because what is transpiring, dear one, is a transition, an energetic transition where that is concerned. And it is important to understand, dear ones, that from through periods of your time-space continuum, dear ones, there are always energetic transitions where that is concerned. Each and every one of you within the physical body, the mental body, and the emotional body move through a personal energetic transition from time to time to time as you move deeper within the personal process where that is concerned. So if you observe the energetic transition of yourself where that is concerned, and you look out into the world, to the happenstance of the world, to the happenings of the world outside of yourself where that is concerned, there is now a transition of energy where that is concerned, moving through transitional periods and energetic transitional periods, energetic changeovers where that is concerned in your earthly plane where that is concerned. And it is most important, dear ones, at this time, at this most specific time, during these energetic transitions where that is concerned, is to utilize your tools to remain centered and grounded in the depth and breadth of your heart space where that is concerned. Because there are ones, many, through the stimulus outside of yourself, of your nervous systems where that is concerned, are feeling feelings that they quite possibly haven't felt before where that is concerned. And you might be persuaded and dissuaded, dear ones, to move into isolation and separation where that is concerned, move into defending yourself where that is concerned. But it is important, dear ones, to remain in a place of collective consciousness, the collective consciousness of the soul, the collective consciousness of the soul's divine plan where that is concerned, the collective consciousness of you where that is concerned, and to divine that collective consciousness for yourself. Define it where that is concerned. What is your collective consciousness where that is concerned? And it's about moving deeper within, dear ones, because it is important now to move into the grounding place of that collective consciousness where that is concerned, or the truth of the beingness of you where that is concerned. And may that truth be peace, community, harmony, and equality, intimacy where that is concerned, oneness where that is concerned. It is important now, dear ones, to be aware and conscious of what is transpiring within yourself, as quite possibly you are reacting to what is transpiring out of the third dimensional world of form, but remain in a place of collective consciousness within the self where that is concerned. Remain in the place of collective consciousness with life-minded individuals where that is concerned, and opening up to a grandness of yourself, a greatness of yourself, an expansiveness of yourself, a powerfulness of yourself, because what you are seeing outside of your doing in the transition or the exchange of quote-unquote in your vernacular power where that is concerned is to see where you are in your power where that is concerned, where you are in the depth and breadth of who you are where that is concerned, as you stand steadfast in the collective consciousness of the self where that is concerned. So in many ways, dear ones, as always is the case where that is concerned, what transpires outside of yourself is simply a reflection, quite possibly, of what is transpiring within yourself, or testing you to see where you are in relationship to what is transpiring in the third dimensional realm outside of yourself where that is concerned, and opening up to the depth and breadth of the lovingness of self where that is concerned, and being in the lovingness of self where that is concerned. So the question we have for each and every one of you is, where are you in the beingness of the lovingness of yourself where that is concerned? Or do you find yourself drifting, quite possibly, persuaded, quite possibly, to move into isolation and separation, to defend yourself where that is concerned, based upon the happenstance of what is transpiring in the world outside of yourself where that is concerned? So in many ways, dear ones, as it is always the case, what transpires outside of yourself simply allows you to look in the mirror of you and ask yourself, where am I within the depth and breadth of the beingness of me in relationship to what is transpiring outside of myself? How does it make me feel? Where is it stimulating me? Where is it triggering me where that is concerned? Quite possibly triggering an old belief system where that is concerned, that still is entrenched deep within the core of you where that is concerned. Are you moving into survival mode where that is concerned? Are you surviving, asking yourself, how am I going to survive this? Or you are in the oneness and the beingness of you, the lovingness and the beingness of you. So you can look out at the world outside of you and remain in the grounded consciousness of love, of peace, community, harmony, and equality. And if that is your consciousness, and if that is your beingness, then, dear ones, as you move through this exchange of energy, this exchange of power, it is time, dear ones, to see that what is transpiring in the world outside of yourself, it is a shadow period in the evolution and the soul's divine plan of your earthly plane. Each and every one of you can move deeper within the depth and breadth of your heart space. Simply observe where you are at a greater level of consciousness. Dip into your tool bag and bring out the tools that you need to remain in the consciousness of harmony, the consciousness of peace, the consciousness of oneness. And allow that aspect of you, that bright light, shine on the darkness to open the pathway for those who may be lost within the happenstance of what is transpiring outside of yourself in the third dimensional realm.
Michael, could you speak a little bit more about this transition, this dark night of the soul, and the relationship of how that's happening with humanity individually and collectively in combination with the ascension process of the planet herself?
As each and every one of you, dear one, are ascending within. As we said earlier, dear one, what is transpiring outside of yourself in many ways is a reflection of what may be transpiring within each and every one of you. You are the microcosm. What is transpiring outside of yourself in the earthly plane, the universal plane, is the macrocosm. At times, what transpires in the macrocosm mirrors back to you what is transpiring within you in the microcosm of you. But also what transpires, what is transpiring outside of yourself, as we said earlier, may trigger you, may trigger the nervous system, may stimulate the nervous system. Because it is all, dear one, a growth period. What transpires, dear one, in your earthly plane outside of yourself is a growth period. Quite possibly taking 1, 2, 3 steps backward to catapult yourself into a new aspect of growth. As you move through the personal process of growth, of learning, of releasing old habits, patterns, and rituals, you may understand in the mental body that, yes, I observe myself repeating an old behavior that no longer serves my highest good. And then you repeat it again, and then you repeat it again, and you may repeat it one more time. And it might be that one more time where you be able to transition it energetically and move into your heart space and realize that the old behavior no longer serves your highest good. And it is in that moment that you will experience a growth spurt. You will realize the old habit, pattern, and ritual, the old defense pattern, and you'll be able to transcend it and move into the new you, and then leave it behind. So as that transpires within the personal self, that is transpiring and will transpire outside of yourself in your earthly plane. So it may seem to you, dear ones, that what is transpiring in the worldly events outside of yourself, that you may be taking steps backward. As we just said to you, dear ones, as your intention is to release old behaviors, you may have to repeat that old behavior 1, 2, 3, 4 more times until it moves to a crescendo that you may be thinking that you're taking steps backwards, and quite possibly maybe. But it is when, dear ones, you repeat that behavior one more time, it will shift and change your life forever. So you may be thinking, dear ones, in your mental body, that you're in the worldly events outside of yourself, that you may be taking steps backwards. Quite possibly, dear ones, what is transpiring is an awakening. An awakening to each and every one of you. An awakening, dear ones, where it is time for you to shine your light out onto the world in that shadow period. It could be an awakening of yourself into a power that you have never known. A stimulation to the depth and breadth of the depth of you that you have never known. Open your hearts, dear ones, to what is transpiring. See how it affects you and how it makes you feel. What is transpiring outside of yourself is a shift in the energetic aspect and makeup of your earthly plane. In many ways can be utilized, dear ones, for each and every one of you to unite yourselves in a collective consciousness like you never have before. Many, dear ones, are opening from a long period of slumber. What has transpired outside of yourself in the earthly plane and the worldly plane of worldly events could now be the stimulus to awaken like you never have before. And it is exactly what you needed, and it is exactly perfect in the soul's divine plan of your earthly plane. As each and every one of you, through your questions now, by opening your heart space and asking the question, how can I affect others outside of myself based upon my inner ascension process to now affect others outside of myself, thus standing in the powerfulness of yourself. You are all there is. And you, dear one, if in fact your universal laws are all there is, you are those universal laws. This is oneness, dear ones. This, dear ones, is your foundation. Your foundation that you are one with the universe, you are one with the God Self, you are one with the God Force. All of that resides inside of you, dear ones. That, dear ones, is the collective consciousness. It is up to you, dear ones, if in fact you decide to be the messenger of that collective consciousness.